Happy Wednesday night. Welcome to Deep in the Plus. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys, as always, for being with us. We appreciate you. If you have not already, please subscribe to WDWNT TV for more great content. And also, give this video a thumbs up as it helps people to find us. Now, tonight's going to be a little unique, so it requires somewhat of a different introduction, and that's going to include my good friend Patrick Hackett. How are you, sir?
Rob Whiteside, the Wednesday Night Delight. It is, 4 years of Disney Plus. Let's get it going.
Let's go. All right, so the reason we're talking about this tonight is that we've had several shows, you and I, that we've done together. You've been on a lot of the Deep in the Plus, as they say. So I'm appreciative of you coming on for this, but usually on a show, there'll be some moment where you'll go, you know what? This thing about Disney Plus, this or that, we should talk about that someday. Today's the day, buddy. We're going to be talking about Disney Plus. So this is not our usual review. This is more of a kind of a look back at Disney Plus in general. It launched on November 12th, 2019, and on that very same day, we did our very first Deep in the Plus. So in other words, it's kind of our birthday too. But yay, woo! So we will we'll celebrate when we do our 200th episode. We celebrated for the 150th with reviewing The Greatest Showman, the 100th with reviewing Tangled. So we'll come up with something special to do for the 200th episode, which will be early next year. But in the meantime, news came over today, like hot off the press. The actor strike is over.
You got about 3 hours left of no actors.
Well, and the writer strike ended, the actor strike is now over, and so hopefully these folks will get back to work, they'll get paid what they should, and hopefully we'll get some good content. Yeah.
No AI.
Unless it's really... No, I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, you know, the Beatles... The Beatles song that just released last week wouldn't have happened without AI. Just saying, there's a lot of things it gives us, but it does taketh away in a lot of ways too. So,
I mean, you saw the background scenes that Disney has been using AI for. It is abhorrent.
Okay. The other thing that came out is the earnings call came out today. Man, it's a big day. Yeah. It's a big day. And the earnings call said 150 million subscribers. Is that what they have? And yet they lost like $300 million on streaming. So you know, a lot of people say the streaming model doesn't hold up. I've seen some YouTube videos that say that it's a bit of a challenge. What are your thoughts on that, man?
That's such a big conversation because it goes so far beyond Disney Plus, right? It's not just Disney Plus. It's Netflix. It's everything else. And people are like, well, streaming basically just became cable. For all the stuff that we were fighting against, we turned the tide, and then the cycle started all over again. I went back to cable. I cut the cord. I was with Hulu for a really long time. I got a cheaper deal with cable, and they threw in HBO Max. They threw in Netflix. They threw in a couple other things, and my phone bill pays for Disney Plus. So I don't know if the streaming model, I don't know what the model is. I've always thought a la carte was the way to go. And I feel like that actually isn't going to work because I've heard it's through some inside channels what it would cost if you just wanted to subscribe to just ESPN, and I don't think that's a good look. I think they actually hit upon stuff early on, and then backed away from it because there was stuff that I appreciated, especially during pandemic times. Yep.
So let's backtrack a little bit and talk about this from the beginning. So in August of 2017, Bob Iger announced that they would be coming with a streaming service unlike anything you've ever seen. Then they announced that they would be putting in a bid to purchase 21st Century Fox, which includes FX, that includes Fox content, that included just a huge catalog of movies. And then they spent $71 billion on that. They spent $4 billion on Marvel, $4 billion on Lucasfilm, but $71 billion on this huge catalog. So I'm thinking, man, this is going to be an amazing setup. They're going to have so much exclusive content. They're just going to box everybody else out. And then when it launched, Disney Plus launched on, as we mentioned, November 12th, 2019. It was, I think, March of 2019 when they finalized that 21st Century deal. So it was a big deal. They were all ramped up. I was like, man, we're going to have Die Hard on Disney Plus. How are they going to do that? And obviously, they didn't do it. There's a lot of stuff that when they launched Disney Plus wasn't there, and you and I have talked about that a lot. I actually made a list of the things that I've seen. Yeah, that I've seen that aren't on there. The Tower of Terror movie with Steve Guttenberg. Follow Me Boys. The Lone Ranger. Like, that should be on there. The Absent-Minded Professor. No. Shut it. It should be. And then in the 90s, they did some stuff that was computer wore tennis shoes. These were reboots on The Wonderful World of Disney. And then Maleficent, the original, Muppets Tonight, the reboot that was on ABC, Muppets Wizard of Oz, most people don't know. Dick Tracy, that would be a cool one to have on there, I feel like. Tomorrowland, kind of crazy. Make Mine Music, there's actually a full-length animated feature not available. House of Mouse. Like, I don't understand why a House of Mouse isn't on there, but Condor Man was one that I was like,
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know Condor Man? Oh my God, no, Condor Man and the Black Hole were two movies that Disney tried to scrape under the rug at one point. Obviously, they embraced Black Hole. Yeah. It was a ridiculous thing about a guy who had a condor suit, and kind of like The Greatest American Hero. It was like he was not a great hero, but he was like a wannabe. And I was like, you know what? Everything's going to be on Disney Plus. This is going to be great. I'm so excited. And then when it launched, it wasn't. Then there was a lot of stuff missing. Alice and I have tried to review things, and they haven't been on. Mrs. Doubtfire is back now, but we were ready to do it, and they were like, oh, it's gone. Anastasia was gone and then came back. Same thing with Sound of Music. But there are all of these things.
So this was my fear.
Yeah,
this was my fear, is that this was being pitched as a solution to the Disney Vault. And I felt like it was just another version of the Disney Vault. And that they could lock things away and put them under premium access at their will. And that may still come. But this was a big fear of mine. I feel like if you're going to tell everybody it's everything, it needs to be everything. Warts and all. They've put warnings in front of some shows, rightfully so. But, if I feel like we got to throw some things out there. I know with some stuff, it has to do with rights. Sometimes it's music rights.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like Muppets Tonight, it's got to be about the music rights because they had a lot of musical artists on there.
But you can just clip that. I mean, didn't they do that for the Muppet Show? I haven't watched a ton of the Muppet Show on the Disney Plus.
It depends on what it is. If you've got a musical guest, like Prince was on one of the episodes, I'm a huge Prince fan, which is one of the reasons I know it's not on there. And he performed a lot during their sketches, so I think that probably made it difficult to be on. But I don't know, man. It feels like you should make the investment. There was a TV show about radio, WKRP in Cincinnati, and there were years where they couldn't release it because of all the music that got played in the background, and they eventually made some financial commitment to it and released it.
Well, I know Wonder Years, when streaming really started, and it was nowhere to be found because of the needle drops that were probably billion-dollar needle drops in that show. But Disney's not the only one that does this. I mean, what HBO Max did in its transition to Max and just dumping stuff.
I hear you, but they own this. That's the difference between Netflix, between Max, between all these others. Is Disney owns this. And so, there may have been some licensing agreements with things like Mrs. Doubtfire where they may have promised it to be somewhere else and then they bring it back. But Disney owns all this content now. It's theirs. And that was the kind of unique position that they were put in. Is they could put their arms around it and go, nope, you can't have this. This is ours. And they were going to make all this new content, and obviously they've backed off on it because they've realized it's not doing what they wanted it to do. And we'll talk about that later as we get down the road in this. But again, it bothers me that there's stuff that's not on here, especially when I go, hey, it's Halloween, we should do Tower of Terror. Oh, it's not on there? Great, fantastic.
I really want to see that. I've been tempted because for a long time the physical copies were available in the Tower of Terror gift shop. And I was always tempted to pick it up because I'm not sure if I've ever seen it. I just know that it's bad.
It's endearing. I'm gonna go ahead and put that out there. I don't mind watching it over and over, but it's one of those things where like, just why? There's got to be a reason, I guess, but all of them, there's got to be like a why. I think Desi has said here in chat, is there something wrong with Make Mine Music? And Neko was like, it's just not as good as the others. That's not, but but the of those compilation movies, there were, you know, Fun and Fancy Free and Melody Time and Make My Music, and Make My Music is not on there. I didn't know that until my son was like going through, and like he was going to go back and watch all of the movies in order, and he gets to that one, he's like, hey, how come this isn't on here? We were going to review Maleficent and we couldn't because it wasn't on there, so we did the sequel instead. So the sequel's on there, so it's not like an Angelina Jolie thing. But yeah, and you know, then Desi said we should put, you know, the warnings on it and just play it, and they do with a lot of stuff, like Peter Pan, and is problematic.
No, Peter Pan.
Right, and there were some things that they used to do back in the day, like Gaucho Goofy removing the cigarette and that kind of stuff. But now they put these disclaimers that say it's a different time, and we know that, or hey, they're smoking or whatever. But when we were at the stockholders meeting, and I've referenced being there because it was right in March of 2020, just before the pandemic was in full force. It was Bobby Iger and Bobby Chapek, and they were both there up on stage, and they were talking, and the question came up about why isn't everything there, and Bob Iger said it's because some things weren't in good enough shape to put on the platform, either that they were, you know, done back in the analog days and they needed to be cleaned up or whatever. My response to that is, there was a show that Allison and I reviewed called The Mouseketeers Go to Walt Disney World. If it's still on Disney Plus,
VHS transfer.
I was about to say, if it's still on Disney Plus, it seems like somebody moved from their home video to YouTube. It still had Alpo commercials on it. It still had, like, I mean, it was just as if it came right out of there, and the quality of the episode video was bad. The commercials are in it, and also, like, it's very problematic. There are a lot of weird things that happen in it. They whistle and sing zippity doo dah. Like, there's a lot of things about that, but it was still there. So that to me says, okay, you've made exceptions. Now, obviously, Song of the South, they have buried so deep in the ground, they never want to fess up to the fact that they've had anything to do with that. And
I think they should, just so people can be like, oh yeah, no, it's horrific. It's really bad. Yeah. And the songs are wonderful and they're fantastic. They've been part of our childhood for a really long time. Right. But that movie, problematic, doesn't even, like, scratch the surface. I think if you put that out and you're like, oh yeah, this is why Splash Mountain is changing, because look at it. Look at it. Just
look at it.
It's like the Ark when you open it up in Indiana Jones.
Yeah. So, again, like, the history of it was that they announced it. They came out with it on November 12th, 2019. And when it came out, a lot of people were really excited, like, oh, look, Darkwing Duck, and oh, look, it's DuckTales, and oh, it's all this stuff from my youth. And a lot of people were like, this is really cool. But I also think they didn't watch it. I think they were just happy it was there. But I think they were like, okay, it's there if I ever want it. I mean, was there anything like that where you were like, hey, there's some cool stuff on here that I may watch by myself or with my daughter someday, and then you're just like, nah?
It was shortly after my daughter was born, so I was thankful for Disney Plus. And then the pandemic. My wife actually asked me, she was talking about getting prepared for the show. She's like, do you remember the first thing you watched? And I didn't, but I did remember the first thing I did is I went to all the Disney Afternoon and I just watched the openings. I watched Goof Troop. I just watched all the openings and brought me back to childhood. The fact that they put skip intro button on there is a crime. Yeah, I don't know. It's there was nothing that I was like driven. I was excited for the decoms. If you haven't been watching Deep in the Plus, I am a huge decom person. And I was happy to have. They're almost all there. Is there any decoms missing that we know?
I mean, not that I know of, but
not that I know.
I have
random like ABC movies that were like Disney productions. That's like Computer Has Tennis Shoes. Those are not in there.
Well, and here's the funny thing. You mentioned Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. There was a Dexter Riley trilogy, and it was the Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, Now You See Him, Now You Don't, and The World's Strongest Man. Now You See Him, Now You Don't is not on there. What? Wait, what? It's like the Dexter Riley trilogy. You own that. I don't get it. But again, maybe there was something about it. But there's so much that I just wish was on there. And I really thought, back to that stockholders meeting, Bob Iger said not only about that, the things were a problem, but they would continue to put things on there. But I just feel like
Well, they
that
did
that's
add
that.
all those shorts. Those
Right,
shorts.
but
No, I'm
right,
serious
sure,
because some of those look really nice and they've been cleaned up. So
yeah.
that's good.
But again, I think the promise was everything that Disney has ever done in one place, and all of this Fox stuff that we've just purchased all in one place. You're welcome, and that to me was going to be really exciting. When it first launched, it was $6.99 a month, and then it moved up, and then they added the commercial level of it. Do you have the commercial bundle?
I
Or
get
no?
one commercial every now and then. I don't know. I have whatever Verizon gives me.
Okay, well, let's call Verizon and ask them what happened.
I'll
So
get them on the
this came
phone.
out. And you mentioned this before. This came out in November, almost as if Disney
Yep.
was like, "Hey, maybe there's a pandemic coming. We should get this out." Then we roll into the pandemic in March of 2020, and people are locked into their house, and it's like, "Well, what do you have to do?" Well, we just happen to have all these Disney movies and TV shows at our fingertips. When we first launched Deep in the Plus, there were a whole bunch of shows that were in the works at this network, and so there were people who wanted to talk about the new content like The Mandalorian or the live Lady and the Tramp and the stuff that was brand new. And what we decided to do at that time was to go back and go and find the things that you wouldn't normally find. And so that's when we went back and we watched things like Newsies or The Hunchback of Notre Dame or things like that that wouldn't be your first pick going in. And then we
Stuntman.
got into yeah, Stuntman. Then we got into some weird stuff like Fuzz Bucket and Mr. Boogedy. But now I feel like we just in this show we just go deep into something, and sometimes it's newer stuff, but a lot of times it's older stuff or classic stuff, and we try to do stuff around the holidays, some of those classic things. But there's a lot of cool stuff on there that I still haven't watched, but there's also still a lot of weird stuff on there. Right after the pandemic started. There was the live action Mulan, and the live action Mulan was supposed to come out in March of 2020 at the end of the month, and they held, I think it was, yeah, it was March 28th, I believe. So it was supposed to come out right about then, and because of the pandemic and everything being shut down, it didn't. And so they held on to movies for a long time, which in hindsight now is probably a good idea that they held on to things so that they could put them out later, because just as we were recovering from COVID, the strikes happened. Weirdness. But they did a thing that I don't know if you remember that was like Disney Plus
Yeah.
Premium,
Yeah.
where they would let you buy Mulan on Disney Plus. So you paid, I think it was $30, and you could watch Mulan on its release date. And
I think that's an awesome idea, and I think that they've dropped the ball with that.
really, why do you think so?
Yeah.
Because I would prefer to see movies in the movie theater and then have them come to Disney Plus. But what are your thoughts?
Um, I purchased a fantastic movie, which more people should be talking about, Raya and the Last Dragon. It's amazing, and I was not quite comfortable going back to the theaters. It took me a really long time to get back into a movie theater. Um, a lot of the times I'm not quite comfortable going to the movie theater because I have a 4-year-old. She has to pee. I, have to pee myself. I like to be able to pause it. I have a fantastic television with a great audio system. Like, the quality step off from me from the theater to home is not that big a deal as it used to be. There's of course a lot more experience going to the theater, and I always want to be there for like the big budget, the Marvels and things like that. But I feel like having it a premium access instead of just dumping it on to Disney Plus, you can at least recoup some of the money, and you can add that into the box office. Because I think we're going to talk in a little bit about some of the other missteps they made and how they've devalued Pixar to almost like levels we haven't known Pixar to ever be at.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and so the Mulan thing was one thing, and it was paid. Then, as you mentioned, Raya was a paid thing as well. But then at Christmas time, they released Soul for free. And maybe that's what you're talking about the devalued, because here's a movie that we had seen at D20.
Soul and Turning Red.
Yeah, but we had seen
Oh,
this at D23 Expo, and they had really kind of
yeah.
pumped up this new movie with Tina Fey and Jamie Foxx, and they were like, "Hey, this is a big deal," and then they just drop it for free. To me, that was a slap in the face to that movie.
100%. To the brand.
Is that?
To
Yeah,
the brand.
yeah. Talk about it.
I just don't know what they were doing at Pixar. Personally, I don't like Soul. So I'm not like, oh, they wasted, one of the amazing Pixar products. But they just, it just felt like such a slap in the face to Pixar, which really was buoying the content, was buoying the brand. The Pixar movies were Disney for a very long time. I don't think it was really until Frozen and Tangled and that we started to see Disney take back its legendary status from another of its own brands. They just kept doing it with Pixar movies. It was very off-putting, and I really think it did significant damage to the brand. In addition, the film quality has not quite been what we expect from Pixar, although I think everyone should watch Turning Red because it's a classic.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and we did a review of it on here, and it was a lot of fun. I know that Desi was on that one, so I enjoyed seeing that movie. Soul to me was a little disappointing, but I think to me part of the disappointment was just not getting that big theater experience. And I get what you're saying about you have these these things at home that make things better, but I think Cruella might have been the last one that they did with that the premiere access. But then again, those other two were free, and I remember thinking
Yeah.
at the time, and maybe we talked about like what litmus test do they have back there where they were going, okay, this one we should charge $30 for, this one we're just going to give away, and like I mean, was
It's
it
been
just because it was Pixar?
some of the baffling stuff that has come out of what is supposed to be the smartest people in the room of the largest media conglomerate in the world is shocking, and it just doesn't make sense. And I think, like, honestly, even though I'm glad we're gonna get some X-Men MCU content and Deadpool, I think the Fox purchase, especially because of the whole Hulu deal that has now come to fruition, I think it was a bad deal. I think it was a really bad purchase.
The Fox thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but what's funny is, and again, this is a story I've told before, is that when they were giving out the Legend Awards, the Disney Legend Awards, they presented Christina Aguilera with a Disney Legend Award, and she said she grew up on Disney. Her favorite film was The Sound of Music. At some point, somebody's gonna. I mean, it's gonna get to the point where you won't know that it was ever not a Disney movie because it's owned by the company
Yeah.
now. And there's some of that IP that they got that I was really excited for. Our listener or William and I had a conversation about this. Is something that I've said for a long time is that there should be hard ticketed events at Hollywood studios that use the Fox IP for Christmas and for Halloween. They really should in the parks go up
Die
against
Hard Tower
Halloween
of
Horror
Terror
Nights.
overlay.
Why not? Nakatomi, bring it on. But no, but I mean, Alien and some of the other franchises that they own, Home Alone, like, I mean, and I'm talking about Alien for Halloween and Home Alone for Christmas. There are a lot of those IP that they could do something really special with. And the only other way to feature that stuff in the parks would be to build a Fox park, which I don't think anybody's out there asking for.
I don't
So,
think they're. I think Disney is out of the park building business. A fifth gate is a pipe dream, and I don't think it's ever going to happen.
yeah.
I honestly, the best thing that could have happened with the Fox stuff is revamping the Great Movie Ride,
Yeah.
and
That's
we all know how that turned out.
Dude, so that's the biggest I think in
Yeah,
all our opinions,
yeah,
the biggest mistake they ever did. It is the most updatable
yeah.
ride they had, and with all the IP they had from Avengers to Star Wars to all the Fox
It's
stuff, like
not like Runaway Railway wouldn't have fit in areas that they have. This is
it
not
should
a
have gone in,
park-based show.
yeah, it should have gone in the animation building, but we won't talk about that
Yeah,
right now. What I do want to
we don't
talk
have to
about
do this
though.
right now.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So there was a lot of content that came out. Like I said, the premiere access stuff. They did bring out Artemis Fowl, which was supposed to be a theater movie. It was designed to be a movie for the theater, and they dropped
That
it on
feels
Disney
like
Plus
a
for free.
million years ago.
Right? Yeah, but they dropped it on Disney Plus for free, which again has my mind reeling. How do you decide when it's a theater movie and when it's a Disney
And that
Plus
had
movie?
star power.
When you well, okay, Pinocchio. Pinocchio has star power. When you sit down and you go, we're going to make a live action Pinocchio. How do you decide if it's going to be a theater movie and get X amount of money or a Disney Plus movie and get X amount? Because I don't think you spend the same amount on it if it's never going to hit the theaters. And maybe that model is changing, but I'm perplexed as to when they decide Lady and the Tramp is a Disney Plus movie and Peter and Wendy is a Disney Plus movie, but we're going to release Ariel into the theaters. Like I don't understand how they figure that
that's why
out.
there's a lot of people who aren't in their positions anymore, because I don't think they had it figured out.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess that makes sense.
so, the thing about that is taking it a step further is, when do we decide how far after theatrical release does it go to Disney Plus?
Yep. Yep.
Are we still trying to move physical media in any way, shape, or form? Something that, we talk about the streaming model as we started, and it might be obvious to someone, but mathematics and finances, it's not like my A+ suit.
Huh.
How do these things make money in any way, shape, or form? Like, how many subscriptions do you need to equal one season of Stranger Things? Right? Because
Yeah.
they're not selling advertising dollars. In fact, there's productions costs, there's acting costs, they're advertising the series, and I just don't get, like, how do things make money here? And I think that's why it's a huge loss leader right now.
Yeah. Let's talk about money. Again, I mentioned it earlier today. When they launched Disney Plus, there was one price. It was $6.99 a month. You could actually buy a D23 deal that they sold at the expo, where you could buy 3 years
Yeah.
for a cheaper price, and I took advantage of that and got a little pin. It was great. So now they're saying that they've got this Hulu Disney Plus deal that is with ads for $9.99, and then this other one with no ads that's $19.99 a month. And then they try to bundle this stuff together with Hulu and
Hold on. Go back down real quick. Scroll back down. What? No, all the way to here we go. So let's see. Two of those already canceled.
Yeah, well, and removed. I think the treasure was. So let's go just to Disney Plus. So it is $7.99 a month with ads. So it was $6.99 a month just 4 years ago without ads, and now with ads it's $7.99. The one that was $6.99 is now $13.99. But how smart of them, or evil, to be able to say, look, the $7.99 is only $1 more than when we launched. Yeah, but that's the one with ads. The one with no ads is actually double the price. Double the price in 4 years. I assume that just means that it's because they priced it inappropriately to launch it.
I think so. I think they were trying to price themselves under some of the other services, and this was seen as like a niche add-on. It wasn't seen as like, replace your cable, all you'll need is Disney Plus. And I think with the Disney Plus Hulu, which was announced today, that should be soft testing in December. That is kind of to be replacing the cable. Brave New World that has such people in it. I think we're still trying to figure out. The cable wars are done, and now it's the streaming wars. And
Yeah.
where are we going to end up with this?
Yeah, it was funny that when they first talked about cutting the cord, my brother-in-law was very he doesn't watch this, so I can say what I want to. He was very hip into the idea of I'm a cable cord cutter. I'm a cord cutter, but yet
Yeah.
he was getting ESPN from the login from his parents' DirecTV account and several other channels from there. And then
Yeah.
then they were paying for a couple apps here and there. But when you actually have to pay for Hulu or YouTube and get the live TV off of that, it starts to add up again and get there real fast, as you mentioned at the top of the show. So I think at some point the model doesn't make sense anymore. There was a point where I was carrying all these apps and DirecTV, and then I was like, no, we're not going to do this anymore. So we cut that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's talk about how, again, from a cost standpoint, there's a lot of content that they put out that they've, we just talked about it. They've retracted. They've taken some stuff off. That John Stamos Big Shot, the Willow series that I thought was going to be a big deal. They did one season, they took it off. There's a lot of the stuff that they're taking off, and I don't know why they're taking it off. Like, I'm not a smart enough guy from a financial standpoint to say, is it because that way they don't have to pay residuals to the people who made the content?
It's like a tax write-off. It's the same thing we saw with the
Star Cruiser.
Star Cruiser. Yeah, it's depreciation, but it doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
Well, if they were taking it off to then put it on physical media or to rent it to Netflix for a while, I would get that. Right. You're taking content you own and trying to make more money off of it. But I mean, it's still, but it still has a value, I would think, to being on there, especially if you could tell people, like, unequivocally, everything that you want from Disney, Fox, everybody else is right here. It's right here for you. If you could tell them that, that would be great. But yeah. So since then, they've also, when they launched, there was a ton of Marvel that was promised, and I don't think that they fulfilled that. And part of it, again, COVID cut us back. Shows like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier had less episodes because of COVID and trying to complete them. But there was supposed to be a ton of stuff coming, and then they just kind of slowly, came back on it. We've talked in like our Discord about how disappointing Secret Invasion was. It just really was, and it seemed needless, and it was one of those things where it could have, the storyline of the comic book was amazing. You wasted a storyline here.
You wasted expensive actors. Amelia Clark ain't cheap. Samuel L. Jackson ain't cheap. Like, and it started, Robin Scherbatsky is not cheap. It started off really well. I dig spy shows, so I was really getting into it. And then it became another superhero show with absolutely no stakes, and that bothered me. But yeah, I don't know if we have time. We might get into the whole dearth of Star Wars and Marvel and kind of the feeling surrounding it and the exhaustion of being a fan.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that right now. The funny part to me is that when they started trying to do all these theater movies, the Star Wars stories, like Rogue One, like Han Solo, or like Solo, a Star Wars story, I think that what they had intended on doing is releasing more movies into the theater on that, with that.
It's supposed to be like one a year. We are going to get one that was in continuity and one that was a Star Wars story.
Right, every other year, right.
Yeah.
But then what happened was, they kind of said, hey, the people are getting fatigued on this, and so maybe we need to cut back on it. And then when The Mandalorian hits as a Disney Plus show, people are like, holy crap, this is really good. This is the Star Wars we wanted. And so then, it comes back around to maybe it wasn't that people were tired of the content, it was just the people who the content they were making wasn't the content that people wanted. And now there's so much Star Wars, but yet at the same time, I'm not fatigued on any of the Star Wars TV shows, which is the opposite of where we were before. Then in the Marvel universe,
I'm a little fatigued of the Star Wars shows because I let them get ahead of me, and so I had to catch up a bunch, and I'm like, oh my god, this is exhausting. Unfortunately, there's not like a big ticket movie that's coming out that I needed to be caught up. I just wanted to be caught up with everything. Fantastic products. Bad Batch. Bad Batch is amazing. Make sure you go back and watch Rebels. You need to watch Rebels. Everyone should watch Rebels. Go watch Rebels. Once you're done with this, go watch Rebels. But for Marvel, there's so much content, and if I want to go see a blockbuster in the theater, I need to be caught up.
Right. I was talking to Neko about this in chat and saying, what do we need to see before the Marvels comes out this weekend? Because originally you would have thought, well, be caught up on WandaVision because of Monica Rambeau, and be caught up on the Captain Marvel movie, so you know who she is, and be caught up on Ms. Marvel, so you know who she is, and then
Thor. You have watched all the Thors now.
Right. Well, but then the newest trailer that just dropped yesterday or the day before makes it look like it's the continuation from Endgame. So it's like, wait a minute, do I need to go back and watch it? Like, are we picking up from Endgame now? Yeah, I agree with you, because I've said before that my family, I would make them go back into the beginning and study up. If we were going to see the new Harry Potter movie, go back to the first one. So I've seen Sorcerer's Stone 900 50 times because I always want to go back to the beginning. You can't really do that anymore with Marvel with 20 plus films plus 10
No.
10 series that are out there. But yeah, I get what you're saying about trying to do that. I think for Captain Marvel, you just go see it because like Loki is not done
Oh, I
yet.
can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. I actually I get out of work early a couple days, and I was like, can I just sneak off to a movie without anyone noticing? Very excited for it. I think that those characters deserve better. They got bounced around. The toys got released without it. But yeah, no, I'm excited for that. I'm not excited to have to continually watch a million hours of programming to get to the next movie. And then it not matter. Like, I caught up on everything, and then I watched Ant-Man and Quantumania, which is quite possibly the worst thing that the MCU has put out. And
Okay.
none of it really mattered.
All right, so let's talk. Let's swing a left here.
Yep, let's do it.
If you don't mind, and talk about something that I didn't have on our list to talk about today, but I feel like we should. Is
we're curveballing it. Let's go.
We are. I'm calling on audible, Patrick. When there have been some Blue 32. There have been some things that have dropped that you and I have looked at and gone, "What is this?" And a lot of times, what it is, it's something that was made by Disney or a subsidiary for another country that they've decided to drop on Disney Plus and be like
Do we have
dubbed.
visual aids with this?
Well, the one that I just happened to pull up because they were featuring it is this one called Daddy's on Request. What? Daddy's on Request?
Different in different corners of the internet.
But if you go to suggested, there's L Pop, Forever, Freaks. It was always me. Like, these look like, okay, maybe these are shows. Like, this one was maybe one of the first ones that got me, this Intertwined. I'm like, what is this?
I started watching it, and then I'm like, what is this? This is not in,
And then I was just like, well, wait a minute, that's not the thing. This was another one, Violetta, that I was like, wait a minute, what is this that I'm seeing? And then there was something, there was like a luchador one.
What was the...
that puppet thing.
I'm all over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing is like, we said it a little bit with Elemental while I was, be here live so you can interact with us in the live chat. Elemental's a really good movie, and it speaks to a certain amount of people, and it's important. It tells people stories that don't often get told. And that's great that this is also on Disney Plus. However, we talk about the problems. The algorithm for Disney Plus is straight trash, and the user interface also straight trash. This should be in a section that is easily accessible to people that want to get it, but there's no reason for this to be in my face to get me confused thinking about a Disney show that I'm like, when did this air? Is this new? I'm supposed to know things like this. If I go in the Slack, I'm going to get yelled at to read the site. Like, where did this come from? What is this puppet doing here? Is this an English language show? I think it's great that there's so much product out there, and there's so many people whose stories have not been told and who are now getting a product to relate to that they may not have gotten before. It's awesome. I just want to make sure that we're targeting that in a more direct way. This has been happening to me all over. I do not speak Spanish. I keep getting Spanish language targeted ads. I don't know what's going on. It might be my aforementioned affinity for Lucha Libre. I don't know.
Could have been. I don't know.
There's
but
a
yeah,
Lucha
that's
show that you're hiding from me, by the way. I need to know about it.
Dude, there's a show, and for the life of me, I've been desperately looking around trying to find it.
I heard the click-clagging.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh my God, what was that? But, there's a lot of stuff, like I said, that's missing from a standpoint of they should have had Tower of Terror and all that other stuff. But also, there's a lot of ABC that they could have on here. Sometimes they'll drop ABC on here, like the new Wonder Years, and sometimes they don't. There's a lot of Disney Junior stuff that could probably be on here that's not. There's some Disney Channel stuff that's on here that's not on here that could be. But also some stuff that we loved growing up, like the Disney Inside Out show that they used to do on Disney Channel. I don't know if you remember that. And then also, I brought this up before, like, I don't know. We got to point at the end I'm calling suggestion box, which is things I think that should be on here. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. Let me move again back to something that we talked about before, is the show dumps. Do you prefer when they do something where they drop all 8 episodes at once, or do you prefer something like Loki, where we as a fandom will watch one episode, get in there together and talk about it, wait in anticipation for the next week for the next one, or do you like it when they drop all 8?
I don't know. I really don't have an answer to that. I'll reverse, I'll throw my Uno reverse card. How do you feel? What do you like?
You don't get an Uno reverse card. I honestly, I feel like I like it when they release them one at a time, so there's something to look forward to. And maybe that's just because I was raised on broadcast television where that's the way it worked. Sometimes you find a gem, like The Creek, I always call it. Schitt's Creek. Anyway,
they're talking about Dawson's. I'm like, what?
I don't want to wait. No. When I found that show, it was during COVID, and I think probably a lot of us did, and it was out of Canada, and I started watching it and just was like, could not get enough. More. But it all happened within the span of like a week, and it was done. I almost wish that I had been there watching it all along. Like, I think maybe when I watched it, only like season 1 through 5 was in there, and so I watched season 6 in real time. But I do like the anticipation of there being another one. It's the same thing with like an attraction. I don't want to wait in a 3-hour line for Pandora, Flight of Passage. But if I do, then
don't poop in the queue. For the love of God, don't poop.
No. That's a Sunday night topic. But right now, but we're going to talk about it. But I think that I prefer it to be one at a time, so that you actually have that experience and that shared experience of we're all watching it at the same time. What did you think of this episode? Now, that said, I'm behind on Loki, and I got a little bit of flack for that.
It's a nightmare to be behind on something, though. It's like terrifying. I don't want to be behind on something because I don't want it ruined. I'm one of those people that if it's something spoiled for me, it is literally spoiled. I've had 2 evictions on Big Brother and Survivor spoiled for me this season, and like it killed those episodes for me. I didn't want to watch. So on the one hand, I like that it's all out at once, and if I can get through it, if I could be ahead of the curve, that's great. On the other hand, I have some real anticipation right now for Loki. Like tomorrow, I cannot wait to watch Loki. I'm very excited.
Okay. Let's talk about the interface a little bit, because number one, who's your icon? Who did you choose for your icon to represent you in your family?
I didn't get to choose my icon. My icon has been chosen for me.
Oh yeah?
Cece called the shots. So presently, she is Grogu. My wife is, I don't know who my wife is now that I'm looking back. I am Meme. So yeah.
Well, I mean, you said you liked it. That fits. Mine
I
do. I usually just grab classic Mickey because I mean, I'm basic, but also he's the man. But now that Oswald's available, mine is Oswald. I went back and looked.
I started as Dipper because that's my dude.
That's a good one. I went in and did Mickey at first, and then I did Oswald, and I was like, oh, I'll change my Disney experience to Oswald. Nope, it's not there. Oh well. So anyway, mine is Oswald. My daughter's is Bingo, and she's a teenager. She is not a little kid. My wife's is Mulan, and my son has changed his to Nubs. And again, not a little kid, and he's all Nubs.
In this house. Hey, by the way, we did have a super chat. It was from the Trauma Factor for $5. This is to help offset the cost of Rob's Disney Plus subscription increase so that we can keep getting deep in the plus. So thank you so much, Trauma Factor. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Yeah, that'll help offset it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't know, man. I think it's one of those things I would buy anyway. And when I talk to coworkers at day job, in radio, I would assume that you would consume all media and that Disney would be a thing, and they'd go, oh, I let my Disney Plus account lapse. And I'm like, what? Why? That's a staple for me. Like, I can't not have Disney Plus. And I know that's unique for you and I because we're maniacs, but also at the same time, like, there's so much good that comes there from Star Wars to Marvel to Pixar to Disney that it's a big deal. But again, thank you for the super chat, the Trauma Factor. Appreciate you. Let's go back and and talk about the interface, because I think that's one of those things that that we've brought up before. So when you open up the app, you get these large ads
God.
at the time.
Get out of here, Carlton.
Oh, we're going to talk about this too in a second. But when this first came up, and I talked, yeah, and I talked about this before. When this first came up, I was like, Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic. Like, don't push education in my face. Put Muppets here. Like, I mean, that's what I want here. I want Muppets here. Don't put National Geographic there. Don't give me. I want my dessert, not my veggies. So that's the thing. And then so they got the recommended for you and the new to Disney Plus. I find the new to Disney Plus to be helpful, and you're not going to see as huge a dump here as you would on Netflix.
Did Young Jedi just get new episodes?
Dude, we're not shopping here. This is.
I mean, it's just news to me. I didn't know.
Yeah. And then continue watching. These were the things that, like, I watch Nightmare Before Christmas every year on Halloween. The classic shorts. We kind of made a big deal about the fact these were not featured anywhere. They're now featured. Maybe they listened to you, Patrick. Maybe that's what happened. The Santa Claus collection. You know what? Why not swap this out for the Santa Claus during the holidays? Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I don't like the big banner ads that they put in the middle. They had it for Halloween. It was like you were scrolling, and then in the middle, it would be like Halloween, and I'm like, this isn't working for me, Disney.
And then you got originals.
Side scrolling, yeah. Oh, the side scrolling is terrible.
This here. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's your movie. So you got animated movies that are listed, and then all the Home Alones, because you can't get enough. By the way, this Sweet Home Alone on Disney Plus original, trash garbage. And I don't say that about a lot of stuff, but it is.
No,
I love that
That's usually what I do.
I love that this Beatles documentary is on here, by the way. If you haven't watched this, it's like 12 minutes or something like that. Yeah, watch that because of the making of it and how Patrick's AI got used there. Mickey and Friends, because you watched Loki. There's the only thing that's algorithm based in this entire thing, because you watched Loki.
Because you watched Star Wars Rebels, whichever one you do.
And now we're at the end. I think with Netflix, and correct me if I'm wrong. Netflix,
hold on, real quick, because you just paused on it right there. Why is there not a bigger park section? Why is parks not on the banner? Why are we not getting more parks related programming?
I wanted to talk about that too. Come on, man. I agree, because this was one of the things. I know, my bad. That's my B. I agree, because the things like the Imagineering story and Behind the Attraction are things that we've liked and loved, and that we are Disney fans and super fans. We're gonna want parks content. There were these shows that were on, and Allison and I talked about this on Behind the Attraction Haunted Mansion that we did on Deep a couple weeks ago. Is that there were these shows that you would watch on the travel channels. It would be like, now it's time for Disney's Top Thrills. And they would go.
Samantha Bee did a series on it, yeah.
Yep. And so it was neat, and on her she would go into like the resorts and things like that. I would love to have all that content here. That's probably not owned by them, but I would love to have that content here. I would also love to have the TV channel, because they do all this like ambient stuff. Like they did a couple of those
just
ambient.
Released a new ambient, yeah.
Right, for the Haunted Mansion, they did 2 of them. But I want to have all of the park loops on here. Yeah, Stacy. But I want that loop that you're talking about, and I agree. And I want all of the the DVC loop. You remember when you wanted to sign up for DVC and they would say, send us your address and we'll send you a video.
Yep.
Same thing with like booking at Disney World. We'll send you a video. Have those videos on here. You own them. That's free content. Why are you not dumping this in my face and having a parks channel for that kind of stuff? But the thing that I was going to talk about was that
often I would throw on Animal Kingdom background music loop, just have feel like
no, I agree.
Flame Tree Barbecue, or
But when you walk into a Disney resort and they have the TV on, that channel I want too, that has the time and the hours and the parks slide by, and it's all like, put that up. Why not? I mean, again, you've bought that content. It's free. It's there. I can't imagine it's that difficult to do. From the same vein, though, when you go into a movie, let's see something that may have existed already. Let's go into a Goofy movie. Because I mean, we did a review of that one. When you go to extras of a Goofy movie, look at all these extras. Now, don't tell me we didn't have them on the DVD. There had to be some on the DVD. This is not even a trailer. It's just a 2-minute clip. So, I mean, I feel like there should be more extras on here because I think that they exist somewhere, and some, have one of the interns just dub it. I don't know what you have to do, but like there should be more of that kind of stuff on here. I feel
this is what the college program is for.
Hello,
Stop
thank you.
putting them out in the parks. Have them editing videos for you for Disney Plus.
Yeah, why not, right? Yeah. So, but and then so let's talk about the search thing because I find this interesting. When you go to search something before you actually, I've searched Little Mermaid here, but before you actually search something, you have groupings.
I do like that. That actually.
I agree.
Really
I agree. And then you have all collections. Now this one is like crazy, like what's the word I'm looking for? It's involved, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Like a night at the museum tab. I mean, intricate maybe. 101 Dalmatians collection.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's so many. How many Airbuds? Go to Airbuds. How many Airbuds?
The Disney Fairies collection. That's cool. Where's the Airbud? Oh, Airbud collection. There's a bunch, dude. There's a bunch. There you go, bud. Yeah. But so like the Disney XD collection, Pixar shorts, all of these breakdowns here, the Star Wars Vintage collection. We did the Caravan of Courage one year for May the 4th. You got Simpsons breakouts. You got comedy, cooking and food, Halloween. So once something has happened, I guess they push it to the bottom here for seasonal. But then you got holiday collect. Again, I appreciate this. I think this is well done, especially when we're going in to try to figure out what reviews we want to do for holidays. It's nice to be able to look ahead and jump in here and see this. Thoughts?
I did a little bit of research for this coming up.
Just a little bit?
And I don't know if I would say more or less than I do for a movie show. But I talked to some friends, and it was right around Halloween time. I'm like, what is missing from Disney Plus? And they said not only Disney Plus, but a lot of the streamers, the ability to make a playlist. So if you go in, you can see all of the Treehouse of Horror episodes, but you can't autoplay them through. And that's something that you and I have both complained about, the inability to be able to autoplay something through. But how about let me build a playlist? Let me build like my comfort Gravity Falls playlist. Let me put together the episodes I want to see when, I need a little bit of that serotonin going, and I can talk about Paper Jam Dipper.
I agree with you, man. I think a playlist would be fantastic. One of the things that I had, and again, we were, I guess, to that point where I kind of labeled this suggestion box, is that I would also love to see that X-ray feature that Amazon Prime has. Amazon's the only one that has it, I think, where you pause it, and it pops up and goes, here's all the people on the screen and what the actors' names are. What? Like, yes, give me that. Especially if you're a streaming video file. Like, you want to see that kind of stuff. Like, I know I've seen that guy in something.
Gen Z and Gen A, bring it in real quick for a second. Let the elder millennial talk to you. When I was growing up, there was a show called Pop-Up Video. And it was the greatest thing ever made. And this is kind of what that X-ray thing is on Amazon. So music videos, which you had to only watch at certain times and weren't readily available on any other sort of service, would then have like little highlights. Think of it as like the IMDb trivia section. It would pop up on your screen. Now imagine how awesome that would be on a show that you've watched 10,000 times. Something like, could you imagine how much richer our discussions on a great movie like Brink or Alley Cat Strike would be if we got like little pop-ups? I think that's something that definitely needs to be stuffed into the suggestion box. The other thing is I think it should be more clear who is running Disney Plus. I don't think it's really like well known. We know the people who are running the Disney parks. We're well aware of it. We know Bobby I. I think they should be more visible. I think they should have to stand up here and take onus for some of their decisions. And I think they should be more forward facing.
Okay. I was trying to find out what that freaking show was that we were talking about.
Or the puppet show.
the puppet show, because it was like
Yeah.
it was a show about a monkey inheriting the house, and then the
Yes,
people,
yeah.
yeah,
And it came
and,
on for both of us after we watched something else. It might have been after The Happiest Millionaire. I want to say it was one of the suggestions. That's another thing. Fix your suggestions. They are terrible.
I remember we watched something, and afterwards it said, "If you like this, you might like Bluey." And I'm like, "Well, I do like Bluey, but not because of this. That's a little bit weird." Here's another thing in the interface that is new and useless, is that for something like this, they do a shop button, and so
Yeah.
the
Yeah, I
shop
hate it.
button, if you click on it, all it does is it comes up and it would say go to Shop Disney,
Oh
or
my
if I'm watching this
God.
on my TV, it would have
Why
a
are they
QR code
so
here.
bad? Why are they so bad at technology? Just, you're the largest media conglomerate in the world. Why doesn't that go to that page automatically? Why is it an extra click? I like
But
that.
the other thing about that, though, is that if you're going to do that, show me something that I can't get with a simple Shop
Yes,
Disney
give me a
search.
Disney
Give
Plus
me some.
exclusive.
Yep. So let's talk about that for a second. Is that Disney Plus merch and park tie-ins seem very few and far between for something that means so much to this company that they desperately need to make their money back on. They did a thing the very first year. They just released a whole bunch of stuff the day that Disney launched. The second year, they did an Investors Day in December, where they rolled out a whole bunch of Disney Plus stuff, and they kind of called it a Disney Plus Day, but it was in December.
Yeah.
And then and then I think it was last year, maybe. Um, no. Then on Friday, the 2021, they did a Disney Plus Day. It was the first time I think they really called it Disney
Yeah.
Plus Day, and it was in 2021 on the birthday, the November 12th. Then in 2022, they did it on September 8th. Why? Why September 8th? I think it was just because
Did
it
they
was
have a
just
big
before.
release?
It was just before Expo. It was just before Expo.
Yeah.
And then this year they're doing nothing. Good job, Disney Plus. Good job on the consistency of Disney Plus Day. Like, it should be a big deal. I think that, this Sunday night will be on Park Center when the actual birthday happens. But like, are they going to do anything special? I don't think so. I mean, are they going to hand out buttons in the park or free cheap hats or anything like that? I don't know.
I think as a network that really is parks based and park centered,
Oh,
um, we want the integration more than I think that they think other people want it, and I think that Disney needs to really figure out where its bread is buttered. I think that's why you're hearing on these earnings calls that they are supercharging park growth, because I think that the parks and ESPN are what are driving this cart, and I think they need to realize that it's actually those of us who are watching WDWNT, who are performing on WDWNT, that we're the ones that are spending the money. It's not this family from Denver that's coming in for one time. It's the people that are giving you money consistently. And you need to start giving us what we want, because I'll tell you what, across the street starting to look pretty damn good. And their streaming service is good. Their new attractions are great. They built the land in the time that it's taken you to
build a
mildly
ride.
upgrade the front of Epcot. Yeah. A walkthrough at that. So, like, get your ass together.
I have good news for you, dude.
Yeah. Oh my God, there it is. What is this? It's so scary.
But this is why I couldn't find it. Chuko? I don't know. But yeah, it's basically the family
It looks
inherits
like
the
he's
house.
in a hostage situation. Like, that's
The
a
family,
proof of life photo.
but the family inherits the house. But the only catch is that the monkey or the chimpanzee has to live there
That
with
is
them.
the worst monkey suit I've ever seen.
I was so determined. I had to find it, man. I had to find it.
Now you gotta find me a Lucha show, because if there's a Lucha
I don't
show,
remember.
I'll watch
It was
You
like
might need subtitles.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I talked about this one on Twitter. And I was like, "What the heck?" And people were like, "Yep, I saw that too." It's so funny. Anything else about the interface before we move on from there?
I'd like to see
I
some
think
improvements, but all the interfaces are pretty bad.
Yeah.
HBO Max is terrible. I refuse to call it just Max. That's a dumb name. It's not a person. I think
Yeah.
Netflix, the original, is probably the best.
Okay. I find Netflix to be overwhelming. I think there's too much stuff that I can't always find what I'm looking for. I'd like to be able to find what I'm looking for without search. So
You
if
still
it's
haven't found what
something,
you're looking for?
I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Yes, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. The Edge. I mean, I find it overwhelming. The thing I do like about Netflix, though, that I would want integrated in here is a trending. Netflix does, whether it's real or
Yes.
not, whether it's fabricated or not, for Netflix to show you the things they want to show you. I buy into it hook, line, and sinker. Here are the top 10 things that are available right now that people are watching.
I love a list. I love a list. Okay, so here's something else. This bothers me so much, and it's probably a throwback to being a professional wrestling fan in the early '90s when ratings were huge. I need to know ratings on these shows, like who's watching Loki on the premiere, who's watching it later, who is not watching something on a cable service and watching it on Disney Plus instead. This is information I want, and I know that it's like state secrets because finances, whatever. But like, even if Netflix is not telling the truth, I enjoy their top 10 list, and it gives me something to think about. And I think Disney Plus should do that. Good call out. Well done.
Yeah. So here's the other thing that I was kind of leaning towards, though, was the merch, because I'm a guy that loves some merch. Is merch and park tie-ins. The only park tie-in I can really think of that they've done is when they have Loki on in President Loki outfit, and then the next day they have him at Avengers Campus. That's great, but then it's for a limited time and he's gone. But I do think that that's kind of cool. But that's not necessarily a Disney Plus as much as it is a Marvel thing, because they will have, somebody from the Marvels movie in right after, and that's not Disney Plus. That's just them tying in with the parks. And again, I think synergy is great. Same thing when they had Hera and Chopper show up, and I know your feelings about Galaxy's Edge and how they should have it. Yeah, I know. Noted, my friend.
I'm glad you got ahead of that. Thank you.
You are seen and heard. But I do think that there needs to be more of that. There should be a Disney Plus shop at Disney Springs in downtown Disney where you can buy all kinds of merch. I shouldn't be coming up with these things, Disney. Disney, you should be coming up with them instead. Anytime there's a birthday like this, like this Sunday, they should hand you a button when you walk in and say, "Hey, Disney Plus is turning 4 today." I think other than you and me, no one else has acknowledged that yet. Or
like, hey, today is Loki release day. Here's your President Loki pin. There's
perfect.
So much.
They had the Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom game in the Magic Kingdom in Orlando.
You know how I feel about that too. Yeah.
I do too. Where they would give you these free cards and you would go around and you'd play this game. They should have, instead of ripping it out, they should have, just like the great movie, right? They should have rethemed it to something from Disney Plus. We know that there was the Healer family hunt that they had for Bluey at the Fort Wilderness for 5 minutes before somebody went, "Oh, we're not licensed to do that. Oh, guys, we need to kill that." But I think it would be cool to do something like that where you had cards of things that were on there, and then maybe people would care if you had. What was the name of that show? There were so many things that came out, like the Lady and the Tramp live action movie, or there was another one that was Flora and Ulysses. I think that's already been pulled.
The squirrel one?
That's already been pulled. Yeah, Flora.
You have a perfectly good squirrel character. Her name is Squirrel Girl. Give Dora Green or Doreen Green. Got confused with.
Yeah.
Dora.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff like that where I'm just like, you're missing opportunities to spread the word about these things, and I feel like park tie-ins should be it. I mean, I don't think there's anything big enough short of the Mandalorian to make an attraction off of yet, but maybe they'll come up with something that is a big enough deal that people would want to. That's another thing is what are the hits and misses, man? Like the Lady and the Tramp movie, the Peter and Wendy. Oh, by the way. I was at Disneyland.
Peter and Wendy is great, by the way. I thought Peter and Wendy was really good.
I was at Disneyland last week, and Main Street windows, they have 2 windows that still say Peter and Wendy now streaming, and The Little Mermaid coming to DVD September 19th.
Oh, dear
September. God. This is valuable real estate on Main Street, and those 2 windows are still outdated with stuff that should have been pulled and replaced with something else. What you should have in that window is behind the attraction season 2. That's what should be in that window. I'm in the
Heck yeah.
parks.
Heck yeah.
I'm in the parks right now. I love the park. Here
Yep.
I am, guys. And then, oh, there's
Yep.
a thing about the Pirates of the Caribbean now. There was a season 2. Was there
Do
a
you know how
season 1?
much
Let
they
me go
love
on.
stickers? Do you know how hard they love stickers? They replaced that creepy clown with one big effing sticker. I'm getting close today, Rob. I'm getting close today. We talked about this before I went on the air.
About him not saying a bad word.
Yeah.
Keep it clean. Keep it PG, man.
Yeah, but they like stickers. How hard is it to throw, hey, as seen on Disney Plus, slap behind the attraction season 2? It reeks of low effort, and I think that this is talking about our Sunday conversations on Park Center. This is kind of where we're at with the Walt Disney Company. Is they are skating on 100 years of history, and they're not innovating like they used to. Yep. They're not creating like they used to. And I think, talking about the hits or misses here is a perfect segue to that, because I think in my mind, Disney Plus exclusives have been way more misses than hits.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Marvel and Star Wars shows aside, I think they've almost all been misses. I will say I did love the Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie, but we had a debate on that, on like whether it was the right way to go with that.
It's amazing.
That was it was an entertaining movie. There was a lot of questions I had about it, but it was a good movie, and yet like that may be one of the few that actually hit for me. But
that should have been in theaters. There's no reason that has star power behind it. That should have been in theaters.
Yeah. All right, so the other thing that I was looking at is that the Mouseketeers Go to Walt Disney World is still on here.
Yep.
Again, it's from 1977. It's 56 minutes. Lisa Whelchel from The Facts of Life is in it. It's a thing. We did a review on it on Deep.
And when you put stuff on Disney Plus, you got to take the good, you take the bad.
You take them both, and there you have Disney Plus. Here's the parks section of it, though, and like illuminations from this is the Paris, but all of the nighttime shows should be on here. All of them. There's no reason you couldn't record the nighttime show and put it on here. All of them should be on here.
I'll tell you what shouldn't be on there is that section right there. Episodes at Disney parks.
No. This should be. This should be.
No,
this is absolutely
too mad.
This has to be. This one to me, dude.
No, especially that one, Blackish. You're the worst one.
Oh, no. Yeah, well, maybe we need to review that. I used to love these. I used to record these and put them on VHS and have them. The Full House one, Step by Step, Boy Meets World. According to Jim, had one on the Disney Cruise Line. Modern Family had one at Disneyland. They just did one on the Wonder Years at Disneyland. They did.
Also infuriating.
But the one, wait, which one's infuriating?
Modern Family. Just when they start to mess with geography of the parks, I get so angry.
That's my biggest problem with the Blackish one, is that there's this thing where the Soarin' one, the Soarin' part, where there's like this big line outside of the land, and it's like a stairway, like and they're like, "What is this line for?"
That doesn't exist. I was angry. You can
or then they come off of Soarin' and they're at Dumbo, and I'm like, no. And then I think what Disney's trying to do in situations like that is showcase all the parks at once. But you can't realistically do that. And if I go there and I've only seen it on this TV show, and I'm like, well, Dre and his family got to go to, from Dumbo over to Pandora over to, Frozen by, snapping their fingers. So
one of the funniest stories that I don't know if I've ever actually told is I was preparing for my either going on the air for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or like one of my interviews in Harlem, and I went to a restaurant in Harlem. And if you're a Disney fan, you know how this works. You just hear people talking about the parks, and your antenna goes up, and you start listening. And man, the things that people say that they still believe, partially from episodes like this where they don't have the geography, but my favorite thing is that they were convinced that Jaws was like in a moat around the Magic Kingdom. Yeah. Like out in the Seven Seas Lagoon was the Jaws attraction. And movies like that perpetrate these awful myths. That's why this November, vote for Patrick, and you will never have an inaccurate sitcom episode of Disney Park again.
Dude, just because this has nothing to do with anything, but we definitely need to review this, is the episode of Blackish where they're at Epcot and they go to the imaginary staircase. I have to show the imaginary staircase if you guys
Please don't. It's so angry. Oh, look, we're in
Right
what
in front of the land.
What is that? You
It's a line for
own
Soren.
The Parks Company.
It's a line for Soren. It's the line for Soren.
You know what that looks? Rob, I gotta go.
All right, so okay, fine. I do want to review some of those because I think they're great, but there's such limited stuff on here about the parks in general that you've got. Okay, here's Walt Disney World. Here's some stuff behind the attraction, which we definitely need to review season 2 of Behind the Attraction because that's out now. Series and specials. This Wish special was pretty good from National Geographic. Movies inspired by this is a cop out because has nothing really to do with the parks. Featured at Disney Parks again. This is a cop out. These episodes, yes, I get Behind the Attraction, Imagineering Story. So really, it's just kind of this, and then they recycle it all the way down. So again, I think that Disney, please put on all of your parades, like the Christmas parade and the Easter parade they used to do. Somebody's got those on film somewhere. Put them all out. Give me the Disney Christmas Parade catalog, and I'll go back and watch what you were hawking in 1998, and it would have been about the Animal Kingdom. It would have been about the Animal Kingdom.
And another great idea.
Go.
We did it here on our marathon shows. Get 2 celebrities. Get John Stamos and Josh Gad. There you go. 2 Disney files. Have them rewatch those parades.
Yeah, okay.
Money.
Yeah.
Both of them will probably do it for free or like first dibs at, props that have left an attraction.
Yep. I mean that would be really cool to do. I would like it. Yeah, okay. So I mean, again, I think we've covered most of where we've been. I think what's coming up, I don't see a lot of great stuff on the horizon. I've been looking forward to all the things that are out. Ahsoka, Mandalorian season 3. I was looking forward to Secret Invasion. That was a disappointment.
Yep.
I don't know. Like Echo's coming, but again, that's like a third tier Marvel show. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. But I mean, it was not. I don't know. I just wanted those bigger ticket items, and I think again because of the writer's strike, because of COVID. Well, COVID first, and then writer's strike, and then actor's strike. The industry has had to come slow down, and that would be a thing. The last thing I want to ask you about is something we talked about at the top of the show, which is the Dancing with the Stars thing. So Dancing with the Stars, I think that. But I think that what did they originally say? Hey, we're going to move this to Disney Plus, and if you want to watch Dancing with the Stars, you have to have Disney Plus. And then that didn't work. And then they're like, oh, well, it'll be live on ABC and on Disney Plus.
Yep. It was such a misstep, and I think that was their first clue that they weren't at the level that they wanted to be at. But there's no reason that I shouldn't be able to stream ABC, to stream Disney Channel in real time. There's no reason to reverse that you're not releasing Mando on one of these other things. Like, hey, give away 2 episodes of Mando and see if you can get more subscriptions that way.
Well, so why would it not be more convenient, and we know they're moving to a Hulu Disney Plus combination, would it not make more sense for it to be ABC, Hulu, Fox, FX, maybe not Fox, but FX, like all, maybe that, I don't know, have them all on one so that like you own and corner the market on all of that content?
Yep.
I mean, again, I don't know how the model works. I really don't, and I don't pretend to. But I just know that there used to be a ton of different. There was a Disney Junior app, and there was a Disney Now app, and there was like then there was a Disney XD app, and most of that stuff was rolled into that one the one place with Disney Plus. But in other countries, some of the Disney Plus stuff and the Hulu stuff were already together. with all this Fox stuff. But I think that they wanted to keep the Disney brand kind of like the Michael Eisner days, where you had Disney and then you had Touchstone and Hollywood for the things you wanted to be a little bit more crazy about.
Max, things like that, yeah.
Right. So couldn't you partition, instead of those tiles at the top that say Disney, Star Wars, Marvel? Couldn't you make a one app that is the entire umbrella app, and then you go from there?
I think that's probably what we're going towards. And one thing that I wanted to mention,
JG said Disney plus plus. Yes, Disney plus plus. That's what we're looking for next. Go ahead.
Is that there's also no reason for the reverse of, hey, we want Disney Plus in the parks. We want Super Kitties. My daughter loves Super Kitties, and at the Disney Junior Dance Party, which hasn't changed in like 3 years, there's no Super Kitties. There's no Super Kitties meet and greet. It's still Nancy, it's still Vampirina, and it's still Doc. Although Doc just dropped a new series of shorts, they haven't had like active shows in a long time. Why are we not keeping the parks up to date with Disney Plus as well? Like, why isn't Super Kitties out there? By the way, if you're looking for something that's not nearly as annoying as a lot of other stuff, check out Super Kitties.
Yeah. Well, so is there anything else that we've missed in talking about this? And again, thank you guys for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. Please give us a thumbs up. Please.
For the 4-year anniversary.
Do what?
I said we want a little OT for the 4-year anniversary.
Yeah. We went a little over for the 4 years, and again, we'll do a 200th episode. But it has been 4 years, and it's been crazy, and we've been pretty consistent about Deep in the Plus episodes every Wednesday night. So hopefully you guys will join us and tell a friend, and we'll continue to do well. We've had a lot of good stuff that has come up in the past here with. We did the Haunted Mansion, Disney's Haunted Mansion movie. Last week, Desi and I did Once Upon a Studio, which go back and watch that. We had a lot of fun doing that. 2 weeks ago, we did Haunted Mansion. The week before that, we did Behind the Attraction. The week before that, we did Ahsoka. So we do try to find a lot of content that you guys would be excited to see. So with that said, this is what we've got coming up on Deep in the Plus. Is next week we're going to have Percy Jackson. There's a new Disney Plus show coming up for that in December, so we thought we would do the Percy Jackson Lightning Thief movie. The week after that, the 22nd, we're going to do Loki Season 2, because it will have finished, and we will have given you a week to consume the last episode. Today is Oodalali. This is Robin Hood's birthday today, if you didn't know that already. And so we're going to revisit the Robin Hood movie from 1973. And then I put this in the chat asking them which movie we should do. Everybody said Die Hard. We at some point got to Wedding Crashers, but instead what we're going to do is Duck the Halls on December 6th, A Muppet's Christmas Letters to Santa on the 13th, and then the Simpsons Christmas special. We haven't done any Simpsons yet. And this is the original one. The Tracy Ullman Show is where the Simpsons were born. The first thing they did was the Simpsons Christmas special, and it's the one where they get Santa's little helper. We're going old school in this one. So hopefully you guys will do the homework, watch the stuff, come back, hang out with us on Deep in the Plus. We have a lot of fun with seeing you guys in the chat and talking and just hanging out for a little bit. So appreciate you and for going extra innings. I do think I do want to still do a final thoughts on this one, but also a big shout out to our WIGS members. We love our WIGS, the WDWNT Inner Globe Society. If you want to be part of the family, go to patreon.com/WDWNT. If you're into merch, we have the carouselproducts.com, and we've had these Gertie shirts. I actually have one right here, as a matter of fact, that were long sleeve Gertie shirts. Can you see that? Actually, let's do it this way.
Jolly Holidays with Gertie.
Yeah. They sold out in about 20 minutes or so when we put them on sale last time. Yeah. We should have them coming fairly soon, and probably the next week and a half they will be back up. We ordered some more so that everybody could get one, and so hopefully you visit carouselproducts.com and check it out. Okay. So, Patrick, I think we've talked about a lot of this. You and I could talk about this for another hour or two.
Yeah, absolutely.
But after talking about all this, and this is a little different than normal, but I want to ask you this question. So, are you ready?
I'm always ready.
I know you are. After all that we've talked about the features, the history, the programming, the lack of things, the things we like. But if you were talking to a friend and knowing the cost of what this is, and they didn't have Disney Plus, Patrick Hackett, would you recommend this streaming service?
Wow. Man, most of my friends are so hardcore Disney people. It's hard to be this way and not get a lot of friends that are hardcore Disney people. So I think if someone does not have it, there's no reason to recommend it to them. If you don't want the Star Wars or Marvel content, you don't want it. And I'm not going to be able to sell you on that. If you're not watching DComs on a rainy day, you're not going to do that. This is for the fans, and I think that they really need to lean into that a little bit. Let's lean into it. So if you're a fan and you somehow didn't have it, I'd be like, what are you doing? But if you don't have it, I don't think there's anything I could sell you on. I mean, I could sell you on The Mandalorian, but it also requires, decades of Star Wars knowledge to come with it.
Okay. I'm reading in chat that David said, "Would you recommend Disney Plus for $13.99 a month?" You know what? I I still would, and part of that is that a lot of these, especially for families, you've got a lot of content here and history of things that you want to show your family, your kids. My son was getting ready to go to the parks. He went and schooled all his friends on all of the things. He's like, all right, here's what we got to do. We got to watch Ratatouille. We got to watch Tron. We got to watch all these things to get ready for it. There's a lot of good stuff on here still. I still think that if you didn't watch all of the Star Wars, the Clone Wars, or if you didn't watch Gravity Falls, or some of those shows, there's still a lot of good stuff. The classic movies, the stuff we've reviewed. I mean, again, we've reviewed over 180 things while we've been on here. The holiday classics that are on here with Home Alone, I would recommend it. I do think it's pricey at $14, but I do think you get your money's worth out of it, because I'm not buying as many DVDs from Disney as I used to. I don't really buy
That's
DVDs
true.
anymore. I don't think anybody does, but I would spend at least that much, if not more, every month. So I would recommend it just for that. But you know what, Patrick, I own, and you've seen them behind me before. I own just about every full-length animated feature all the way up until when Disney Plus started, and so those movies were anywhere from $15 to $26, depending on when you bought them, how
Yeah.
many features were on them, all that kind of stuff. That if I bought that, but I get it for included. I'm not going to say for free, but included in my money there, and I can watch Loki, and I can watch Ahsoka, and The Mandalorian, Percy Jackson, those kind of things. I think there is a lot of value to it. Could it be better? Yes, I think it needs to be better, or else people are going to stop paying that $13.99 a month.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that's a big fear that, oh boy, there goes my microphone. A big fear that they have.
Yeah. All right. Well, buddy, thank you so much for sitting down and like pawing through all this stuff with me. I appreciate you as always. And again, make sure to join us. Tomorrow night is News Tonight, but and then I think they're taking a week off, and then the marathon show's coming up. And then we are going to be doing Park Center Sunday night. We were off last week, but we will be all the way through until Christmas. Well, the week before Christmas Eve, because we're not going to do a show on Christmas Eve. I don't think anybody wants that in their lives. But 12/17 will be Park Center's 250th show, so we're going to try to do something big for that one. But thank you guys for watching WDWNT TV. Don't forget to subscribe, and have a great week. We'll see you next time.